Hey guys, Boss Ramos, and man, did the Miami Dolphins show up and show out today, getting a 30-13 win against the Buffalo Bills, improving to 3-7. I know it's not much, but this was a statement win by this Dolphins team. Now they could go on and lose each and every game throughout the rest of the year, but this is a win that will stay with Dolphins fans probably for a very long time. It's the second time that the Dolphins have beat the Bills in the last 16 matchups, so that really puts things into perspective. The only other time they beat them recently within the 16-game span was in Miami, so the Bills are probably going to blame the sun, the weather, X, Y, and Z. They did not show up and play well. Let's be frank here. They did not play good. But the Dolphins also didn't play bad either. So it outweighed it, and the Dolphins shut out the Bills for the first 3 quarters of the game and really put it on them late in this one, adding another 14 points in the fourth quarter. So this Dolphins team really found a way to find guys like me who, let's be honest, I picked the Bills to win. I didn't think the Dolphins really had a chance to win here. And here they go, come out and dominate the Buffalo Bills. So don't want to get too high on this, but I love seeing performance like this, especially when everyone's out on this team. This is honestly coming to fruition what I've been saying about this Dolphins team all season long. Defense isn't as bad as everyone thinks. The offense puts them in jeopardizing positions. Obviously, Tua has been turnover prone this season. He had 2 turnovers today, but it did not come back to bite the Dolphins as much as it would have in other scenarios. This week, Dolphins defense absolutely stifled this Buffalo Bills team. Josh Allen had his day. Let's not be frank. He had 300 passing yards, but Dolphins still get after him. They were able to get him, bring him down, even without Jalen Phillips on the field. So let's talk about some team stats. The Miami Dolphins had 370 yards to the Buffalo Bills 376. Let's keep it moving. Red zone appearances per attempt. The Bills went 0 for 1 in the red zone. You'll see about that in the highlight. And the Dolphins went 1 for 1. Penalties. Bills had 6 penalties for 67 total yards. Dolphins had 5 penalties for 35 total yards. Bills had 3 turnovers. The Miami Dolphins had 2. And let's keep it moving to fumbles lost. Bills, both of their turnovers were off of fumbles. Dolphins had 2 interceptions thrown, and the Bills also had a interception thrown as well. Time of possession: Bills 31 minutes 23 seconds. Miami Dolphins 28 minutes and 37 seconds. Now, before we do anything, we're gonna get into the highlight. Yes, here's the highlight this week. I don't own the footage. I don't own the media rights for it. So if there's weird jumps in this highlight, you already know what it is. It's because I don't own it, and NFL/YouTube was like, it's not happening. But let's get it started. We come out the gate strong with a Tua interception on the first drive. First drive was baffling. The clock hadn't even passed 15 minutes, and there was a penalty against the Dolphins. And then the Dolphins burn a timeout. It was just a hot start for this Dolphins team. But Tua capitalizes, first connecting with Malik Washington for a touchdown, and then throwing an absolute dime of a bomb to Jalen Waddle right in the bad basket. Now, just before the half, James Cook fumbles. Dolphins get on top of it, but it sends them to halftime. Now, Josh Allen coming out of the half, looking like they're about to score, but no. He throws an interception to Melifonwu. But the Bills still had some type of pulse here. Dolphins weren't able to capitalize off the INT. Keon Coleman gets a touchdown on Ethan Bonner. Now, another interception by Tua here. His second of the day. Just absolutely unfortunate by Tua. But Dolphins were able to capitalize, forcing a fumble on Josh Allen. Minkah Fitzpatrick gets on top of it. Allen obviously upset. And this is the punctuation where this game obviously was decided with the Devon Achane rushing touchdown. Him and Waddle loving it, heading down. Bills still weren't completely out of this one yet. Josh Allen finds his tight end in the end zone here, but this is the final nail in the coffin. Are another long Devon Achane rushing touchdown puts the Dolphins over the board here with 30 points. And man, oh man, everyone in this Dolphins team, stadium, organization was loving it. You can see McDaniel feeling like he was on fire and couldn't do no wrong. Josh Allen and Tua meeting at midfield, and shout out to Mike McDaniel and Sean McDermott also meeting at midfield. Man, this was a big Miami Dolphins win. You headed into this matchup after firing your GM and trading away arguably a really good player that you've had on your roster since you drafted him in Jalen Phillips. A lot of scrutiny. Jalen Phillips, I'm so happy to be in this new situation. I've had 20 times the interactions on Instagram. Dude, get a fucking life, all right? Get a life. Can't believe that is the first thing that came to your mind. You didn't even thank the organization. You didn't even go and be like, man, I'm really unhappy with how things were ended in Miami, but, let's turn the page and move forward to Philadelphia. He goes, no, I got 20 times the interactions. Dude, you're a loser. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, let's talk about some box score stats, so individual stats here. We got Josh Allen, 28 of 40 with 306 passing yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and was sacked 3 times for a loss of 17 yards. Meanwhile, Tua, not the dominant performance, but he did what he needed to do to help this Dolphins team win, and you'll see why in a second. He went 15 of 21, 173 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but was sacked 0 times. So shout out to great pocket awareness, was able to get the ball out. Yes, you had some questionable throws, and it led to interceptions, but you also had some really good throws that put the ball in the end zone and put the Dolphins on the board. Now, the Bills had 87 total rushing yards on the game, but James Cook III went 13 of 53, had a long of 14, and he also had that fumble that really stifled the Bills' kind of comeback efforts in that first half. Now for the Miami Dolphins, Devon Achane, career game. He had 174 yards on the ground with 22 carries, 2 touchdowns, longest of 59. That helped bring the Dolphins total to rushing at 197 yards. Arguably the best Dolphins performance in terms of rushing the ball this season. Now when you look at the receiving stats for the Buffalo Bills, Khalil Shakir with 7 receptions, 58 total yards. Following him was Keon Coleman, 3 receptions, 46. Dalton Kincaid, 2 receptions, 37 yards. And I'm not really going to go through the rest of the list there. For the Miami Dolphins, only 5 pass catchers was able to reel in a football today. Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, longest of 38. Devon Achane, 6 receptions, 51 total yards, longest of 15. Greg Dulcich, 1 reception for 22. Malik Washington, 2 receptions for 9. And Nick Westbrook-Akine with 1 reception for 7 yards. So not the best passing game by Tua and this Miami Dolphins offense. But the rushing game was there, and that is really, really what this Dolphins team needs to go with moving forward. They didn't need to have the jumbo set. They just ran the ball well. Devon Achane was able to make people miss and advance the ball down the field. And not only that, break out big-time runs, which put the Dolphins on the board with points. Let's talk about fumbles. Josh Allen fumbled. He lost it. It was recovered by Minkah Fitzpatrick. James Cook also fumbled. It was recovered by Juju Brents. So Dolphins really doing well on that front today. Now let's talk about the defense. Jordan Poyer had led the Bills in tackles with 8 total tackles, 3 solo. Following him was Cole Bishop with 7 total, 6 solo. He had 1 pass deflection, and he also had an interception. Moving on down, let's talk about some key stats for the Bills. Cam Lewis, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection. Terrell Bernard had a tackle for a loss. Joey Bosa had 2 tackles for a loss. Tre'Davious White, tackle for a loss as well. Keeping it moving down, Greg Russo had a QB hit. Larry Ojenubi had a tackle for a loss. And Maxwell Harrison had a pass deflection, and so did Dion Walker. His was quite interesting. Daquan Jones also ended up tallying a QB hit. Now for this Miami Dolphins team, Jordan Brooks leading the team in tackles once again. 12 total tackles, 6 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. Following him was his linebacker teammate Tyrell Dodson with 9 total, 5 solo. And then let's talk about some key stats. Minkah Fitzpatrick had a pass deflection. Jack Jones had 2 tackles for a loss. Juju Brents had a pass deflection, so did Jason Marshall Jr. Shout out to him. I met his family during the tailgate, and they're cool people, man. And I was just, giving them words of encouragement. He's been out with some injuries lately, and was able to say, hoping for the best for him. He's a young guy, and hopefully he's a guy who can contribute to the team. And he played pretty well today, so I feel some good juju on my shoulders. Keeping it moving forward, we have Bradley Chubb with a sack and 4 QB hits. Zeke Biggers with a QB hit. Zach Sealer with a sack, a tackle for a loss, and QB hit. Same thing for Willie Gay Jr. And then last but not least, Ifeatu Melifonwu with a pass deflection and also an interception. Now, moving on to the interceptions, Maxwell Harrison also had an interception for the Buffalo Bills. Kick returns, punt returns, nothing crazy there. Let's talk about kicking stats for the Bills. Matt Prater went 1 for 1 on extra points. That was the only kicks he had. Riley Patterson went 1 for 1 on field goals, longest of 46, and then 3 for 4 on extra points. Mitch Wichnowski for the Bills had 4 punts, 217 yards, 2 of which were in the 20, longest of 61. Jake Bailey had 3 punts for 153 total yards. 1 was a touchback, 2 of which were in the 20, longest of 61 yards. Now, all that is out of the way. Let's talk about how the Dolphins executed on the keys to victory. The first one was limit Josh Allen and James Cook. James Cook, check mark. 53 total yards rushing. And then you also can tally in 24 yards receiving, which isn't too bad for him, but not great for him. The Bills' run game was stifled. 87 total yards, and 53 of them came from the lead ball carrier. They were able to force turnovers when guys were rushing / escaping the pocket like Josh Allen, forcing a fumble there. The Dolphins won the turnover battle, which was the last one, the third one. And then last but not least, the second one was run the dang ball. And the Dolphins did it well. They ran for 197 total yards. So Dolphins get 3 check marks in the keys to victory this week. I really was doubting them, but they came out, performed well, and they were able to but leave Hard Rock Stadium with a well-deserved win, 16-30. And shout out the Dolphins, man. They performed well when everyone was counting them out and not expecting much from them. So I really liked what I saw today. My birthday's on Monday, so this is technically my birthday dub. But outside of that, this Dolphins team has shown me what everyone was believing to be false. This isn't a bad team. This is a team that suffered a major injury to their key star player. They had a breakout player come out with Darren Waller in terms of breakout performance. No one was really expecting much from him, and no one was even really expecting him to play coming out of retirement. Breakout performances, and then back on IR, unfortunately. Defense, everyone's running all over this team. The Dolphins can't stop a nosebleed. They really suffered really bad against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night the previous week. They came and showed everyone who's boss. The defense isn't as bad as everyone seems. The offense, outside of the running game, isn't great. But if the Dolphins can run the ball, run it efficiently, especially when Devon Achane is breaking out big runs, they can beat almost anyone in the league. And that's one thing that we have to take with a grain of salt moving forward. Now, this team isn't great. They're not going to go on to win the Super Bowl. This was basically the Miami Dolphins Super Bowl today. Outside of that, I was really happy with the performance. I was full on expecting the tides to turn at some point. The Bills would wake up and really get things going, but the Dolphins handled them steadily, and it was great to see. I can't wait for you guys to see the vlog because things got crazy at the game. Outside of that, man, I'm very happy with the Dolphins win. I think they have a lot to build on, but let's see what this team does moving forward, what type of team they're going to be, because the whole world's pretty much not expecting much from them. So they're expecting them to not be one of the better teams in the NFL and just kind of lay over and lose to a lot of teams. So let's see. The schedule down the line is a little bit favorable in terms of actually getting some wins on their belt. They're going to face the Commanders next week in Madrid. They also face the Saints. So, there's a couple of games down the list that Dolphins might be able to actually get a couple wins. So you might be seeing a 6 or 7 win team. Now, if this Dolphins team somehow, some way rattles off a run and puts himself in playoff contention, I might throw up. I was full on expecting them to just be a bad team over the last 2 weeks. I was expecting them to be a bad team and not really get much going, but they've shown some sense of life, and hopefully they either they build on it or just hey, that was fun. Let's call it a year. So let's see what this Dolphins team does. Thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.